Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of Love It or List It, the series on my channel where I attempt to renovate all of the default EA lots into something a little bit nicer, a little bit more Dr. Ashley approved. You guys know the drill. This is my favorite series on my channel to film, and I actually haven't done it in a while. I'm not really sure where the time went. Where did Love It or List It go? But it's always, my favorite series ever. So I'm happy to be back today in San Myshuno to do an apartment renovation and fix up one of these tragic EA default lots, if you know what I mean. Not gonna lie, I've been staying away from the penthouses because they're just so big and so difficult, but I think that now that I'm a little bit better at building and I've been building for a lot longer, I am ready to tackle one of these penthouses. So I am going to be renovating today the FountainView Penthouse. So like I said, this penthouse is in the Arts Quarter and it is 83,000 simoleons, but it's kind of brutal if I'm gonna be honest. That's kind of no surprise. A lot of the default EA lots we renovate aren't usually the best, but before we get started on the renovation, let's jump right into the tour very quickly so we can see what we have to work with. So here we are in the lovely or not so lovely FountainView Penthouse, and it's actually a pretty nice shape. I like how natural it looks with the existing kind of bottom part, but I don't really know why it's blue here. That doesn't really go, and then inside it's just completely empty. So my theory here is that they started doing the kitchen, they started doing the bathroom. First of all, why is that like that? Like, I have no idea why they would put that tub in the middle of nowhere. But anyways, my theory is they started it and then they just forgot to finish it because they just have a random bed, a completely just empty room, a random room here that's just not even used, and I don't really know. There isn't really much to tour because literally there's nothing here. So it's going to be a pretty easy one to renovate, I guess, because there's nothing here at all. However, I am going to try and keep and preserve and reuse as much of the existing furniture that comes with the place as possible. That's how I always do my renovations. I'm not going to touch the exterior too much, just do kind of realistic changes here and there to make it feel kind of like a real renovation. But anyways, let's get started and let's make this unfurnished penthouse a little bit nicer, hopefully. Hello guys, so welcome back to another episode of Love It or List It. I'm so excited to be doing this renovation. I don't know why I have been avoiding penthouses or why I avoided them in the beginning. I think when I started this series, I was just not that great at building, to be honest. I think I got the City Living pack maybe 4 months into my Sims 4 building career, and I just wasn't confident enough to tackle something as large as a penthouse. But quite honestly, I think that I've gotten a lot better, and now doing something like this, doing these penthouses, isn't really as big of a deal anymore. In fact, when you look back at some of my older episodes of Love It or List It, they're kind of not really my style anymore. So I might actually even go back and redo some of those renovations and some of those episodes of Love It or List It to kind of reflect more of my kind of modern style. But maybe, once we get through some of the other penthouses, I can go back and do some of the other ones. But let me know what you guys think of that. But this penthouse was actually a really good one to do just because it was so empty, and that kind of lends itself to a lot of creativity, endless creativity really, because I can do whatever I want. So I kind of like the fact that it was really empty because I could kind of just, start from scratch in a way. I did pretty much reuse all of the outdoor furniture. I reused all the kitchen counters, I reused most of the bathroom, and then there was only a bed, so that was easy to use. So the first thing that I did, as you guys can see, is I changed the coloring of the outside. I didn't like that dark brick. I wanted to go for a more kind of shabby chic looking white painted brick, and that brick swatch is actually from the interior. I just I drop tooled that on the outside, so it was an existing swatch within the build already. I just like the look of it being a little bit brighter with the white, and I think that that was a little bit of a better choice. And you'll see I actually pull that white brick onto the inside too, just to brighten the place up a bit. It did have that dark brick on the interior, and it wasn't really my style. I was going for a very white bright style. And also one thing I forgot to mention is in my Love It or List It series, I always just use base game plus one pack. So this build is exclusively just base game plus city living. So that's super good for all of you people that don't have all of the packs. You only have one. You can use all of my renovations just fine as long as you have city living. So already here you can see I've made quite a big change to the exterior just by changing the color swatches. And I think that, you know, that's always a good place to start when you're renovating. Just change the swatches outside to see if it changes the look a little bit, and in this case it did. I also changed the window swatches to a black color, again just to go for that more modern feel, versus the brown swatch kind of gave it a little bit more of like a rundown industrial feel, especially paired with the brown brick. So, you know, just making things a little bit more black and white made it feel a little bit more modern. But overall, the interior is there's a lot of windows, and it's very kind of industrial New York, very artsy. So the storyline behind this build, I guess, is it belongs to an artist. So obviously a semi well-off artist, because they do live in a penthouse in, I mean, what kind of district is this? It kind of feels like New York-ish, especially with the brick and stuff. But I do make this a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom penthouse, and it's very kind of industrial, but kind of like renovated. So this artist person is obviously very artsy, and they've maybe painted the walls white, and they have their artwork all over this build. So you'll see that later when I do the more furnishing and decor. But this person is a painter, they're also a musician, they play the guitar, they play the piano, they're just very artsy overall, which I thought was really fun just because this is the arts quarter, so I thought it was very fitting. But I'll get into that a little bit later. When I start to do the decor, you'll see the personality come out a little bit more. But first of all, here you can see I did end up sectioning off a little bedroom area. So I thought it was extremely weird how they just plopped a bed right in the middle of nowhere and then was like, yeah, it's furnished, here, release the game, City Living expansion pack, ladies and gentlemen, like, here you go. So I honestly think they forgot. Like, I wasn't joking when I said that. I think that's a honest theory, is they tried to furnish this and then they forgot, because I don't see any other reason why they would just put a bed in the middle of nowhere in a penthouse. A penthouse is supposed to be luxurious, you guys, so I don't really know. So I did section off the bedroom right here, and then I added those kind of big, large, industrial, cool windows there just to give it that kind of artsy feel. And instead of actually closing it off at the door, I put a little archway and then put those large, really tall City Living curtains there to kind of act as if you want to close that door, you kind of just close the curtains, just because this is just a 1-bedroom penthouse, and it is an artsy penthouse, you guys. So this person kind of wants it to be very airy and, you know, bright and big feeling. They're not going to want to close off anything. So that's why we have those kind of windows on the inside too, which I actually really, really love. I did utilize a lot of the City Living items in this build just because I'm only using 1 pack, and I think that the City Living items are still to this day some of my favorites. Like, that bed goes so well with that rug, and those little suitcases that look like end tables, those are so cool. They just scream like artsy New York penthouse to me. I don't know why, but I just love them, and the swatches are great too. In this corner, I just ended up putting a little bit of a office there, so this person can work on, you know, their business, their emails and stuff like that. And then I did end up putting just a nice little feature mirror wall. I used those base game mirrors and stacked them on top of each other, so it's kind of like a floor to ceiling mirror moment, which I love, and it also makes the room feel a little bit bigger, and just put a nice little dresser up against there. So as you can see, the color scheme of this apartment is really starting to come out already. I'm doing a very white, black, neutral theme, and that's something that, I mean, I do all the time, so it's really no surprise there. But I think that I didn't used to do this back when I did Love It or List It. I was a little bit more straight lines here and there. I don't really know how you can describe my style back then. It was just very beginner. I feel like now I'm filling every nook and cranny a little bit more and keeping things minimal where I need to keep it minimal, and yeah, I'm just a lot happier with my furnishing style nowadays than when I look back. And I think that's the whole point of me starting this YouTube channel. I wanted to improve, and I think that I am. But you guys always let me know. Again, this is Love or List It. You guys have to let me know down in the comment section down below whether or not we love or list this renovation. It's always up to you guys. So the bedroom's pretty much done. It's very big, bright, white, cozy, but also kind of cold at the same time. And then now we are working on the kitchen. So the kitchen I actually relocated to this corner just because I didn't think that this person needed a huge grand kitchen against that wall. I just wanted it in this little nook over here because it's just one person living here, and I just felt that, you know, this was a better spot. So I did reuse those counters like I said I would, and they are from the base game. So they're just nice counters. They're very industrial looking. They look great with this style of apartment, and I thought that the kind of brown swatch went really well against the kind of white, shabby chic, I want to use that word, shabby chic kind of redone, repainted walls, which I love. Here I ended up cutting to the bathroom, which is weird because I hate furnishing bathrooms, but the bathroom was really the only room in the house that was fully furnished already. I'm not saying it was furnished well, because it wasn't, but it was furnished. It had sinks and all of that. Clearly this was made for 2 Sims because it had a double sink, but I kind of picture just 1 Sim living here. Again, if you want to download this, you can put 2 just because there is a double bed. But yeah, clearly they put 2 sinks, so I just kept 2 sinks, and I ended up using the city living sinks and kind of squishing the counters around it just to make it look like the sink was kind of built into the counter component instead of it being a standalone sink. I do really wish that they would give us more sinks that kind of merge with counters instead of just standalone sinks, because a lot of sinks, especially in bathrooms and stuff, are actually like in the counter, if that makes sense. I don't really know if that makes sense, but not all sinks are standalone sinks, and they seem to always give us standalone sinks. So it would be nice for them to give us one of those sinks that's kind of like a bowl on top of the counter, so we can just put it on top of a counter, but who knows if we're ever gonna get that. So I'm just kind of cluttering up the sink area, the counter area. I kind of pictured it being a more feminine character living here just because of the decor is a little bit more like feminine in my opinion. It's kind of what I would enjoy, but of course any type of sim, masculine or feminine, can live here. It's your game, you can do whatever you want, but I do really like how the bathroom ended up turning out. It's very kind of like hollow and big and empty feeling, but that's really the vibe of this apartment, is that kind of like big industrial, not super cluttered and cozy feeling. It's very like kind of cold feeling, and I know in real life you probably wouldn't want that, but for this kind of New York style apartment, a lot of New York apartments do feel kind of cold and empty and kind of echoey. So that's kind of the vibe I was going for here, and I think that I executed it well. Hopefully you guys agree. But here you can see I'm just putting some decorations and clutter in the kitchen. Instead of putting cabinets like they originally had, I wanted to just put the open shelving with some shelves. I do that trick pretty much every time. You guys are probably sick of it by now, but yeah, I just wanted the shelves to look a little bit more cluttered, especially in a space that's kind of just empty like this. They probably wouldn't be installing these large cabinets. They just kind of put shelving for your knickknacks and stuff like that. So I tried to clutter them up a little bit more than I usually do, but this time I really just wanted to take the time to clutter it up. I put a little like old-fashioned antique camera there above the fridge because of course this person is very artsy, etc. They're gonna be a photographer, a painter, a musician, whatever it is. Maybe there are just 2 Sims living here and one's a musician and one's kind of more photographer, painter type of thing. But I do really like how that little corner kitchen turned out. It's a little bit less grand than my usual kitchens, but I like that because it's nice. So now it's kind of time to work on the rest of the apartment space. So actually, once you section out everything and once you put up some walls here and there, you will kind of see that this space isn't as intimidating as originally thought. I thought that this was just a big empty canvas and I didn't know how to furnish it, but once I kind of sectioned off the bedroom and put in the kitchen, I realized there wasn't a ton of space to work with, and it's actually pretty natural where everything was going to go. So I do put a living room in that far corner, and then I do put a little bar area kind of in the middle there, just because I figured that if you live in a penthouse, you're going to want to have people over, friends, parties, what have you. So I always want to put a bar just because I feel like it fits the lifestyle of a penthouse like this. And then you do see I put in a dining room later, and I am using the lovely sectional couch trick that I learned on stream from one of my viewers. Pretty much you just, put two couches together like an L shape, like a sectional couch, and then you just raise an object up above it to kind of hide the clipping area where it's clipping. So you can use whatever object you want. Last time we used something from like toddler stuff or something. It was a pillow stack, but because I'm only using City Living, I ended up using this like base game like bear toy or something. I don't really know if it goes, but I just wanted an object there to kind of hide the clipping and the glitching. So I think that's a really cool trick that I'm definitely going to be using until they give us real couches. I hope they give us real couches, sectional couches specifically, because I think that it's 2020 in The Sims and we don't have sectional couches. It doesn't really make sense. So it's got to happen, you guys. It's got to happen. But here you can see I pretty much just putting the living room here. Again, same color scheme as the bedroom, just white, black, cream colors, neutral browns. I wanted to keep the color scheme very consistent throughout the entire thing, just because, that's what I like. And then I did end up putting a little a little electric keyboard in the corner there, just so they can practice their music, and put a little cute lantern on the floor. I felt that was so, the vibe. And then here you can see this is where I'm kind of bringing the painter aspect out, and I figured that this person is going to be painting a lot because I do end up putting a painter studio in this build. I do it last, and they will display all of their paintings throughout this apartment. But instead of, nailing it into the brick wall and hanging them up, they actually just kind of lean them on the ground throughout the build or throughout their home. They have them painted on these big canvases, and it's not practical to just hang it up everywhere like an art gallery, so they just kind of casually lean them against the wall behind the TV. They lean them against the wall in their bedroom. They lean it against the windows, everything like that. I just felt that was more natural and a little bit more like hipster-y to just kind of have them leaning up against places. So you'll see that I end up doing that throughout the build with more different types of paintings. I just lean them up there to kind of represent the artist displaying their work around their home, but they couldn't be bothered to just like hanging up on the wall. So I kind of like that look. I do like the kind of casual feel of that. And also, usually when you build with like such a tall wall height, you feel the need to fill the entire wall so that you have, the top half of the wall isn't blank. But also, in a way, it can be more realistic when you have these high ceiling units or apartments that you're not going to be going up there with a ladder and putting stuff on the top of the wall. You might just have it very low to the ground, lean it against the wall and stuff like that. So I mean, if it were me personally, I wouldn't be taking the effort to go on a ladder up to the top of the wall to hang a photo. So yeah, that's kind of my thought process, and I hope you like it. But you can see I just ended up putting a nice big modern dining table in there. It was a very natural place for it to go. I think it fills the space very nicely. And then I put a nice kind of cool rug underneath, kind of as if they maybe got it at a flea market or something like that, or a nice cool handmade rug stand. I really love that rug. It's definitely one of my favorites. And then here at the end, this kind of unused room that came blank, so I don't know what this room was intended to be. If it was intended to be a bedroom, I'm not sure. EA did not furnish it, so I got to make it whatever I wanted, and I decided to make it a nice painter's art studio. I thought it was perfect just because it was an entire room full of windows, so maybe it wasn't super practical to make it a bedroom, just because that's a lot of windows for a single bedroom. So I thought a painter's studio would be perfect just because there's so much natural light in here. So I did put a couple of easels in here. Again, did that trick where I just leaned paintings and pictures up against the wall because this person is painting all the time. They're creating tons of art. They're just going to display it here and there. And a lot of them are maybe works in progress and they're going to come back to it. I used that little base game easel stand or canvas stand or canvas storage. I thought that worked perfectly. And then City Living did come with these kind of like mural rugs. So I thought that maybe that this sim, decorated their floor and made a mural on the floor and kind of made the floor their canvas to display their artwork. And then I really liked that because I'd never really use a lot of those City Living artsy decor pieces on the ground. I've never had the opportunity, so I think that dedicating this room to an artist and make it their creative space really allowed me to use those items, which I pretty much never use, which is unfortunate because they are so cool. They just don't fit with my build aesthetic very often. I also managed to put a little desk in there just in case they need to brainstorm some ideas or write down anything. It's just like a nice creative space they can come and work. And then I also put a cute little ottoman there if they ever need to sit down. But overall, I really like the contrast between the super neutral, white, cold, airy, echoey living space. It's really white, it's very neutral and kind of just, industrial. And then you go to the art studio and it's this explosion of color and chaos and clutter, and it's just creative. It's a creative space for them. So they like to, keep and confine their creativity into that beautiful studio, but then in their living space, they're very neutral, which I love. I also ended up doing a little bit more of that mural work on the outside as if they painted the floor of their balcony, and I just love that. I think it looks super cool when looking from the outside. But yeah, overall, I'm very proud of this renovation. I'm happy that I waited until now to do it just because I know that if I had tried to do this a year ago, I would not have been confident enough to, put my own spin on things and put a storyline into it and really try and bring it to life. I would have probably made it something, not as good as it is today, because obviously I'm a better builder now, and I think that is the whole point of, posting my creations online and sharing it with you guys, is getting your feedback and improving. And I really like how this one turned out. I would definitely actually play in this one, which is weird because I never play in my own builds, but I think that this is one that I actually would consider. But anyways, the screenshots are rolling and the video is done. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a huge thumbs up. Let me know if you guys love It or List It, because if you guys love the series as much as I do, I will keep posting these more often. And leave a comment down below what you thought about it, and let me know if you would love or list this apartment renovation. But if this is our first time meeting, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to be friends or if you want to see more Sims 4 videos. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye everybody.